Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tech Down Over. If you're like us, you're in your jail cell. Well, actually, we're not. We're in our studio. But if you're like most people, you're in the jail cell. You can't go out. You can't talk to anybody. All you have is your camera, maybe a microphone, maybe a green screen behind you, or not. But we'll talk about all of that and how you can become better at it and make your production look better than you think it is. Joining me today is my good friend from down under, Jeff Blanchard, or as we call him, W. Blanchard. How are you, Jeff?
Good, thank you. We happen to be talking about some green screen today, and I haven't got mine here to show you.
But that's okay. Anyway. That's a perfect example of you can make it look good without a green screen, because a lot of people think you need a green screen. You don't. And if you look at Jeff's background, well, we'll look at it in a minute. Also joining us is Harold Muliati. He is running the video switcher, and he'll be also on camera in about a moment. Here we go.
This show is sponsored by Relate Corporation. Digital learning development, media development, corporate video, management consulting, and more. Visit us at www.relate.com. Thanks.
And we are back and green screening. You know, it's interesting. If you've been watching TV lately, because even the stars are no longer in studios, they can't go work. So they're doing their shows from their homes. And you've never seen a sorrier bunch of losers. They can't get lighting right. Their videos look like crap. They don't know how to do green. They don't know how to do anything. And it's funny. These are the pros. So right now, I was listening to Adam Curry the other day. He goes, the pros suck. They look like shit. He goes, all us quote unquote amateur non-pros are much more professional at what we do. We have better shots, better lighting, better cameras than do these professionals who now don't know how to work without a big crew in front of them. It's very fascinating. So with that thought in mind, we were thinking today of telling you how we do green screening, because green screening can make your show more polished, or it could give you a different look and feel. Now, if you look at us, let's zoom in on Jeff for a second. So if we go to Jeff's shot, now Jeff doesn't have a green screen up right now. He's got, it looks like a black curtain.
No, just black soundproofing at the back, or sound dampening.
Okay.
Sound dampening, that's all.
But it looks cool, because the black always looks good no matter what you do. It gives it a nice professional look. It's a little stark, but it pops you out. So the good thing about that kind of green screen, non-green screen, is that it gives you a nice, interesting look without having to do all the green screen work. So if you have no other choice, rather than have a blank wall, put something dark on it, or hang a black curtain. There's a material called muslin, not Muslim, muslin, M-U-S-L-I-N. A lot of people get that mixed up. Muslin makes very good curtains. It makes other material, so you could use it for green screening. And we have, I don't think, we probably have it in the office here somewhere in the studio. We have a 20, I think, by 12-foot muslin curtain that we could put behind over this if we want to have a black background. And it takes minutes to hook one up. We have a couple of clips, and it's hooked up. But, for example, so you saw Jeff without green screen, but yet a cool background, something that makes it stand out. It's got a texture to it, if you will. So he's using something for sound dampening and, you know, kind of a look behind him with just one thing, and it makes it look cool. So now if you look at me, Harold and I are both green screened. So if you look at Harold and me right now, you could see that we both have a similar green screen. Harold is probably about 10 feet from me right now. We're kind of at a right angle to each other. So where Harold is, if I point that way, that's where Harold is. Oops, pointing right in his face. But that's where Harold is. And I'm actually pointing where Harold is. So our location is good. If we switched us, then I would be pointing at the wrong place. I'd be pointing where he wasn't. But anyway, with what we're doing there, we've got green screen set up. Now Harold's going to go in and take out my green screen.
So if we go over to this and we turn off...
What? A spaceship? Oh, I thought he was in a spaceship.
And there it is. I'm gone. The spaceship is gone. Actually, I'm still in a spaceship. I'm projecting a green screen. Okay, so now you're seeing me without anything. This is the raw, naked me. Green screen. So the green screen, and let's show you how that's lit. So to get green screen to light correctly, we've got another shot with our GH5S.
And this is actually my green screen, but it's basically the same setup, same identical setup.
Yeah.
As you can see, the green screen is behind me over there.
Yeah, mine is right angled to his green screen, so it's above me and behind me. So
Yeah.
if you see the lights on top, all that is you get, I guess, a kind of a light rod, and you attach the LED lights to it. In this case, I think we're using, it's either Cree or Philips. I'm not sure which ones we have on that, but they're LED lights, and they are, I think at this point, they're about 5,500 Kelvin, so it's daylight. And they're pointing, if you notice, pretty evenly at the green screen. Now, you're also seeing some monitor stuff, and you're seeing the back of things. But they're pointing at the green screen. And in the middle, you could see, can you see the hair light there?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the hair light that's over Harold.
It's pretty little on the screen, but that's it right there.
Yep. So that's the hair light that lights up the back of Harold's shoulders and his hair to pop him away, create separation. Now, he is about 4 or 5 feet from the green screen. I'm a little bit closer. If you come back to my shot, I'm only probably about 2.5 feet. I don't think it's quite 3 feet. So I'm a little bit closer, so we have to watch out for what they call Greenscreen Spill. That means when you light the screen, some of that lighting kind of spills back on you, and sometimes you'll see a little bit green. Now, we're using vMix, which is a very good video switching software from Harold's country. It's coming from northern Australia on the
Jeff's
east
country, you mean.
coast. So that's what
Jeff's
my
country.
shot looks like from vMix. Now, if he turns the green screen back on my shot, there you go. Now, there are 3 settings that he can change. One of them is threshold, which is one of the main settings. If he plays with that.
I misspoke earlier. It's actually 5 settings.
5, okay.
Well, let me start off by doing this. What I'll do is I'll turn off these first, turn off all of these, and the first thing you have to do is do a color pick, and I'll just pick a green pixel next to Rick's head.
Yeah, and also when you're doing that, you want to pick in usually the darker areas. The reason being, the brighter areas are pretty easy to fix. The darker ones can cause a little more problem. In this case, it's fairly even, so he picks something closer to the face. So that's the part that you want to see the most, because we're fairly tied up on our faces on these.
And so what it does is when you pick a pixel, it picks exactly that color to key out. So right now there's only a little bit that's getting keyed out. You might see it as a sort of static or something right now. And so after that, we have to go to these sliders on the right side here to change the tolerances. So it's got a red, a green, and a blue slider, right? And so if we increase the red slider, that means that you give more red variance from that base color that we picked. So it can be more, there can be more variance on the red channel. So we're going to bring that up a bit. And same thing for green. We want more variance on the green channel. And if we bring up the blue, we start to see we're getting quite a bit of variance from that base color, so we've got it mostly keyed out now. We've also got the chroma key filter here, which just cleans up the edges a little bit.
Now, just so you know, my eyes are hazel, and every so often they're pretty green. And we have had a show or two, if you can find them, good luck, where my eyes are transparent. And it's sort of interesting. Yeah. There's nothing behind my eyes, just empty head. You can see right through the end of the... It's a freaky feeling, but it looks very sci-fi.
And vMix actually has a couple of other things here that we don't really use, but could be useful depending. You can do a Luma key, which will make your input transparent based on starting from the darkest colors going up to the Luma, just meaning brightness, going up to the brightest. We don't really use that too much. It's also got a key fill input option here, and what that's used for is if you have an external keying machine, then that will come in through SDI and give a different input that's essentially an alpha channel that you put in, and you'd be able to use an external keyer.
Which is pretty cool. You could do with NDI, you can get everybody on the same keys, even if they're not exactly in the same exact area.
Yeah.
But one of the good things I saw with your green screen as well, Rick, which a lot of people fail on, is yes, it's important to do lighting, but one of the most important things is to have your green screen no wrinkles, because the biggest thing that kills a green screen is shadows, and you can be slightly underlit sometimes, but if you've got like a nice taut green screen like Harold had, you could see Harold, it's all stretched out with it's all stretched out with a clip at the top that holds it there, and it's stretching it. There's clips at the side, and you can see it's really stretched. And when people say,
we are cheating. This is a very special green screen. It's not a typical thin green, either piece of paper or anything like that. This is actually a material. It's not muslin. This is a material that Westcott makes. Westcott, Westcott. Westcott makes a lot of light things, but they also make the best green screen. It's wrinkle-free.
That's the thing. If you've ever tried ironing a 20 by 30 foot green screen cover and ironing that, then by the time you iron it and it's all crinkled when you're trying to it's just so hard to do that. So
but there is a trick. There is a trick to that. Get yourself a small hand steamer. And what you do is, if you see the wrinkles, you spray the wrinkles. So you'd go back and spray the wrinkles, and that usually gets rid of bad wrinkles. Now, again, with this material, which I forgot what it is. Is it like a polyurethane or something?
I don't know what they call it.
It's some sort of synthetic, but
they just call it their wrinkle resistant.
Wrinkle resistant, and it really doesn't wrinkle much. We do have it stretched out just to keep it looking better, but it doesn't really need it. It's an amazing material.
If you bunch it up, it wrinkles, but it doesn't stay wrinkled. Once you stretch it back out, there's no sign of that wrinkle anymore.
It's really cool. It's almost like it's got little nanoparticles. But I think it's the nature of the material that they're using. And as a result, you don't have to spend hours and hours trying to, iron it or spray it or whatever else you're doing. So you always get a very good key, and it's rare that you don't have a good key. Now, mind you, the importance of lighting on a good key is incredibly important, because without good lighting, you're not going to get a good key. So, for example, Harold, are you hooked up? Because I was going to say, if you could turn off the light on behind. Oh, it's over here. Be careful.
Turn off which one?
Good idea.
Your key light?
Yeah.
If
we can turn off this one. Let's turn off the key light and see what it does to the green screen.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
No, I can actually reach. I can reach my because that's something we forgot to mention about our green screen lighting setup. We actually have them on a dimmable. The track lighting is dimmable. So, I'm just going to show you here before I actually show you on the green screen. You can dim it like this, but let me go to my shot, right? And actually, I'm going to get cut off there. But if I dim down the green screen light,
oh yes, you can see some bleed coming in.
Then you can see
shadows,
the mushy stuff around,
and the shadows in the back. On the bottom.
That's because the camera is picking up dark gray rather than green now.
Now, Harold's in a more traditional green screen lighting setup. He's got the track lighting the most of the screen. He has the hair light lighting his shoulders and hair, and then he has an aperture amaranth light in front lighting his face. So the green screen is not lit by your key light, your main light, or your fill light. It's really lit by the track lighting. That's what gives most of the lighting to the green screen. Mine's a little bit different. We only have one light on me, which is more unique. This is what Harold calls the Rembrandt style of lighting. And we're going to be doing a podcast on this very shortly of how to do it, because it's an easy way to light something if you don't have a lot of lights, or if you want a specific, more dramatic look in the lighting. So if you put
we do
on
have
me
your
full
track
screen for a
lights on
second,
too, though.
if you want to full screen me for a second,
yeah.
So what you see is there's one light right there. It's in front of me by about maybe 5 feet. It has about a 3.5-foot diameter on the light. It's got a filter on the light, or a light diffuser. And this is a 120D from Aperture. It's about the size of a camcorder. And the light on it is about 1 inch. 1 inch chips on board. It's 1 inch LED chips. They have the power of pretty much like a diesel locomotive coming at you. They're very, very bright. I think we're only about 50% on this, 53 or something like that. And if you light this up all the way without the diffuser, you're like, I can't see. It's really that bad. But what we're doing here is the green screen is lit by the overhead track lighting. I don't have the hair light on, though we do have a hair light over me. And this is a single light which kind of swoops in. And if you notice, it creates shadowing on this side. So it creates shadowing, a starker look, but a very textured look, which makes it look interesting. And that's why we do it. It's a very nice, interesting look. And it lights up the hair, too, so that you don't need the hair light to pop you out. You're kind of popping out by the nature of the way the light hits you. So this is a one light solution. Let's go back to Harold. You've got a 1, 2, 3 light solution, basically.
Yeah, because we've got the hair light here.
Got the hair light behind him, the track light, and one Amron as a key light in front of him. Not to mention, he's in front of the monitor, which is also lighting him a little bit. You know, if you turn your monitor off for a quick second.
Let's see.
You notice he darkened up a bit. Turn it back on. It just adds a little bit of fill. And we're on a dark screen. And vMix is a dark screen, so you're not getting a light. But if he goes to the light part of vMix, so for example, while he's in a 3-shot, and he goes to one of the like editing things, now he's a little lit up more.
Let's see if I make this one bigger.
Yeah, I can see that you got brightened on your face there if you've got a whiter screen.
And you can even see a little reflection.
Yeah, you can see that on the... Yeah.
So light is light. It will light you whether you like it or not sometimes. So you have to be aware of where you are, what you're lighting, and everything else, because some of that will reflect back into your camera. But green screening is a lot of fun. It gives you the ability to have a studio you may not normally have. You may make it look nicer. Now, you got to be careful. People do really some dumb things in green screening sometimes. They'll put a picture behind them of somebody walking, but nobody's moving. And it just looks fake. And it's like, don't do things like that.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, have a video playing, but don't have it looping over and over, some person just walking by, because that's not going to look very good. You want it to look as seamless, as natural as possible. Anytime you make green screen noticeable, you've not done a good job. That means you've got too much on it.
We had one case here recently with the National 9 News, the green screen, of course, the presenter, and it's got a picture of Melbourne, and it's a live shot in the background. And during each shot, a seagull just sat in front of the camera. It just looked like this evil monster about to attack him, right in the head.
Oh, that's
just
funny.
so fun. But you just don't expect that to. It was a live shot, and then
it's Rodin.
But that's the thing is with green screen is if you've got a decent shot, people should not unlike Rick and that we know people know that we're not in he's not in a spaceship. But if you're trying to just cover up something, put a nice office environment, something which is natural, people won't know that you're in there. Like I always say, one of the old TV shows was, Monk. Remember Monk? Mm-hmm. Like it was all San Francisco based, but they said he never did anything in San Francisco. Everything was down at Santa Monica Pier in Los Angeles, all that. But all the shots where they showed you in them in San Francisco was all on a green screen. Yeah. Nobody ever knew that. That was years ago in the. Was it probably about 10, 15 years ago, that one.
And
that's the thing.
Mm-hmm. And if you're a fan of the big motion pictures like 300 with the Spartans, or Star Wars.
Game of Thrones.
Star Wars
Game
and
of Thrones.
300. And which one?
Game of Thrones. You
Game
look
of
at
Thrones.
that. There's nearly 90% of the screen's green screen. It's only 10% actors.
Interesting.
Everything's green screen.
So they're also in a big soundstage green screen studio.
Yeah, and there's only, and even, well, not even that. On Game of Thrones, it's actually mammoth things. You see them outside in a big outside set, and they've got mountains and hills covered in green
but they're all
screen.
indoors.
So no, they're outside, but they've got huge outdoor green screen. So they are out on a bay, but it's just everything else, all the things, so they can say they're in a different part of the world. They've got different mountains and all that. But it's quite interesting if you into that. Have a look at Game of Thrones, some of the Game of Thrones green screen, and it'd be quite interesting to see.
They did some really good work with the special effects and like you said, the green screening there. I think that was a German studio called Fracture that did a lot of that.
But also as well with green screen, a lot of people think like they have to have something like Harold had a big thing. If you haven't got much room, and all depends what you're wanting to do. If you're wanting to do something like my shot here in green screen, I used to have one of those big things in my studio here, but it was taking up a bit too much room. So when I do green screen, I only want mine here from this width.
Yep.
So I've got just one of those, like those big reflectors about 6 foot high by about 4 foot wide that rolls up, but then that's flat and that can stick just to the back of the wall here and it will cover all the way in here. Won't go any further, but as I said, that's all you need. And even things like I was saying, like Game of Thrones, when they do it, they only do the green screen enough, say 7 foot high for where all the actors are. Anything out of that, it doesn't matter because you're only covering up the one where you want to be projected onto and that. So, but everybody can do it, and like we were saying before, it just amazes me that all these professionals out there, when they're saying they're all isolated, and they do such a bad job. I've been hearing audio as well. People sounding like they're in a toilet.
And in fact, I saw several the other day, and they were pointing them out. The guy's like, "Hi everyone, I'm at the show. We're gonna cover. We have a guest today." And then they go, "God, the audio's awful." And he's got a lav, but guess what he's using? The laptop microphone. And he didn't know it.
It wasn't.
Yeah. Oh, that happens to me. Jeff and I sometimes talk on weekends, and I call him or he calls me, and I answer. And I've got my microphone set up. I have a same setup at home as I do here at the office. And he goes, "Your audio sucks." It's like, wait.
But the thing is,
and Skype resets it all the time.
But
so
that's
you're
the
back
thing
at your
is with
webcam.
That's the thing is with professionals, which I don't understand, is don't blame them. Their job is to be in front of the camera and do as they're told. When they do that, somebody at their end should be saying, "That's crap. Somebody's got to fix it."
Yeah,
but nobody does it. Must say, because it's easy enough to fix. And even with that, they would get somebody to say, "Hey, Al, just do this, do that." But somebody should be pointing that out, but they're not. But
and by the way, we're professionals too. It's just that we do a slightly different thing. We're still broadcasting. We're still putting together shots. We're still in a studio. It's the same thing that happens in any professional news studio or anything else. These studios aren't all that different. Theirs may be a little bit bigger and they have more moving pieces. And you can do that here too. We just don't have any pan-tilt zoom cameras in because our studio's not that big. It wouldn't make much sense just to have it move a little bit and get people seasick for nothing. But it doesn't mean we don't know how to do this or implement it. For example, in our case, we've been doing corporate video about 25 years. So we've got a lot of experience shooting with camcorders, with cameras, setting up lighting on the fly. We have a run and shoot operation, so we can go anywhere and have all the equipment we need to run a professional video shoot. So we are professionals as well, but we're used to working in this environment where we don't have a huge studio with 20 people on crew. They do. The minute the crew's gone, they don't know what to do. Makeup? Anybody? It's funny. They're doing these things that actresses and actors in Hollywood right now are going, "Oh my God, I can't go on. I can't get my makeup on. The store's closed." And, tough, huh?
I mean, I think this also goes back to actually a very good point that Jeff made last episode when we were talking about remote work, which is whether your video feeds are remote or on-set, on-set in person, whatever. You got to test beforehand. You got to do your test, your test connections, and you got to make sure that stuff is working the way it should before you actually go live.
Yeah, and sometimes
make sure we make a video camera before you go live.
Yeah, and we all make mistakes, but you know what's sad? I've seen a lot of green screening in some of the TV studios, the news studios, and you can see the green line on the shoulder, and you go, really? That's so tacky. You can see green on their hair, or it's like, oh, somebody's not doing a good job. And then the guys who are doing it right now, they have the green screen. Half of it's black, the other half of it is. It's like they're totally off on their lighting, and it's a shame because they consider themselves professionals, but they don't know how to act without a crew. And there's no crew on these, and nobody's watching. So it's kind of interesting. By the way, if you want to watch a good show that tells you kind of what's going on in this world today, which is going crazier than ever, go to www.noagendashow.com. Noagendashow, all one word, .com. That's Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak. Adam Curry is actually the godfather of podcasting. He's the first one who created the word podcasting and was podcasting. He's been around for a long time doing this. John C. Dvorak, I remember in the early 80s, he was the PC guru of the time. He even created his own keyboard, the Dvorak keyboard.
That's right.
John is brilliant.
He's also go down in history, his claim to fame to saying the mouse won't amount to much.
That's right.
One of his.
Yeah, but you know what? Somebody who is even stupider, Bill Gates, Mr. Vaccine now. Bill Gates came out and said the internet will never amount to anything. And a year later, he scrambled more than anybody to get Microsoft back into the internet because it was the hottest thing ever, and they were nowhere around. But Bill Gates has never been a genius, by the way. If you guys think Bill Gates was a Steve Jobs, not even close. Bill Gates got money from daddy and basically dropped out of Harvard, made himself hooked up with Paul Allen, who was a very good businessman. Paul Allen became a billionaire. Bill Gates became a bigger billionaire because he owned a bigger part of Microsoft. But if you look at Microsoft, a lot of the products they had were kind of borrowed from other companies. They didn't create an awful lot on their own. And now Bill Gates is the quote-unquote queen of vaccines, really, who made him a doctor. And that's what's responsible for a lot of the crap we're going through right now with our home imprisonments and stuff, Bill Gates. So keep that name in mind. He's not as nice a guy as you think. There's a movie out there on bandvideo.com or bandvid.com, which shows the history of Bill Gates and his family. They're not nice people. They were pretty much Nazi supporters and all sorts of ugly stuff. And nice guy.
Oh, how does this relate to Greenscreen?
No, that was a public service announcement.
Oh, okay.
We just thought we'd disseminate a little bit of information about why you're in such a crappy state right now. Trapped in your home, not allowed to go to work and everything else. You can thank Bill Gates for that. And what's his name? Fauci, the CDC guy, reports to Bill Gates and kind of gets paid by him too. Conflict of interest, I fear? That's enough said. Public service announcement, don't trust what you hear and don't believe all the stupidities that are going on. Yeah.
With all that's going on, I'm just so happy that it's around this time and not 20, 30 years ago. Can you imagine if we had to go through this without being able to communicate with people like we are? I know. Without the interest, because we can do a lot from home that nowadays we don't. People say that, we have to stay in. A lot of people don't go out these days as well. You know, I don't go out a lot, but even people who do, they probably spend a lot of their time in home. That you might go out for tea occasionally, but they'll stay home watching Netflix, stay home watching sport, stay home do. But now they're saying we have to. It seems to be a bit of an imposition. But for me, actually, it's been quite good because it makes you do things that you don't want to be sat at home doing all the time. Quite enjoy doing. So, I've been enjoying it a little bit. I will be glad when.
I went to see my ophthalmologist today, and he was saying, yeah, it's a real mess what's going on. It's not necessary. He goes, and my wife was really angry. She wants to go out to eat. And he goes, we can't go out to eat. He goes, but look at the bright side. I'm still working. She goes, I don't care. I want to go out to eat. So it doesn't matter if you're working. I want food. So.
And that's what I think it brings down to our society these days, that the resurgence of cooking. So you'll still know there's so many people there would probably learn a bit more about cooking.
Yep.
Because that's why they have to go out.
Yeah.
Because, they can't cook, they can't make meals. Even if things are half prepared, a lot of people can't even think of, what do? I can't make anything. I've got to go out to a restaurant to eat, and they do that all the time. But
see, I like eating out. I miss being able to just go to a joint or anywhere else and just have a good meal. And you can't right now. We yesterday we picked up at Giovanni's, and Giovanni was there, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so glad to see you." He had his mask on, and I think they make him do it. But he was just saying he can last another month and a half, and then it's over. So we're watching friends go under slowly but surely because of these stupidities. And
Giovanni, by the way, he's the proprietor of Bistro 13. We actually have an interview of him that we'll link below if you want to watch.
Yeah, it was a great interview, and that was shot with the camera that Harold now has. He bought my 5DSR, my Canon 5DSR, and it's a great camera. And actually, it's not a video camera, but it shoots damn good video. So everybody, we've gotten a lot of compliments on that camera and that interview. They'll go, "Man, Giovanni looks great." And he did. He really, that camera took some beautiful, that was with I think it was a 50 millimeter.
Yeah.
We had on it. It's the 50 millimeter Canon 1.4 lens. It looked great. In fact, right now I'm on a different one. I'm on a Canon C200, and that's the 50 millimeter Sigma lens, which is also, that's a 1.42, I think. A great lens.
Yeah.
These are good lenses. Very, very good.
And the Sigma is actually optically pretty similar to the Canon 1.4.
Even though it's a lot bigger.
It's just that the Sigma has a lot more aspherical and other elements to reduce chromatic aberration and spherical aberration, that sort of thing. So it does a bit better at the very widest end, but that's about it.
Yeah. Jeff, are you on the GH5?
No, I'm just on the Panasonic whatever. It's one of the best digital video cameras.
The 3-chip, the 3 CCD.
No, it's actually not the 3-chip, just the one below the 3-chip. But
so that's the one. That's a big one chip.
$700 about 10 years ago, but it does a darn good job.
It has a really good image. Yeah,
it does a really good image, and it's just, how can you still use it as a video camera? The first HD one.
What are you capturing? What are you capturing with? Are you doing
on the Blackmagic? What was
the Extreme
Intensity Pro? Intensity Extreme. I think
it
is, because that's what I need for the Mac. So that's what I'm capturing.
Hey, does it still run as hot as it used to? Because you could cook on that one. It was so hot.
No, it doesn't. No, not too bad. It's I can feel it here. I never seem to. No, it's not one bit of heat on it at all.
Yeah,
no, it used to run really, really hot on that. But getting back to the green screen, Rick, one of the things is that there is out there that people can try, but it's not as good as a green screen, but you can get software that can do a key out, and like something you can do. You can stand in the shot and say, take a picture of you. It takes a picture of you and keys out everything else electronically. Yep. It's okay if you're just moving like this, so that will work. But if you start moving too much, and it will give it away. But if you're desperate and you can't do that, there are some software solutions which you can say you sit into, or I think what it says is you get out of the shot, take a picture, and then you come back into it. And so it will say, okay, there is software like that will do.
You know who used to do that? That's the software. Remember Visual Communicator? That was Serious Magic, which got acquired by Adobe. They use a matrix. So what they do is they map your whole screen. So when you get out of the screen, it maps everything that screen, every pixel. And then you get back in, it does the difference between you and the pixels. And it actually is pretty quick, even if you're moving. Probably not as good as a regular green screen, but it was good. And that was, I think, patented by... Yeah, that was patented by Serious Magic. I think Adobe owns the patent now.
Adobe do, because they put it in Presenter, because they have a
Oh, they did
product
put
Yeah,
that in?
video presenter.
Okay, so they put that tech in there?
And that's one of the good things. So if you need it, that's a good reason for getting Presenter, because it does do a darn good job on that. As I said, for somebody who wants a perfect one, you're better off with a green screen. But if you don't, well, if you've got nothing, that does the next best thing to that. And then also, if you haven't got the green screen, a lot of these video broadcasting things allow you to blur your background anyway, and that does a good job as well. So you just have your normal boring background, but it will blur it. So, just something like a desk in the background that's not usually nice, it just blurs it in the background. Like
I think Skype will actually do that now.
Skype does that now, I think, too.
Skype does that
But
as
you know
well
what?
now.
If you have a camera, if you have an external camera and you can put a lens on it, put a prime lens and keep it either wide open or towards the as far as it'll go, to darken it. But that doesn't work too much. But if you keep it wide open, you should have enough depth of field without a green screen that it'll blur everything too in the background. So that works. That's another way to do it. That the lens itself can do it with the camera. So that's another way to do it. But we are pretty much out of time. And
so just one thing, Rick,
go
before we
ahead.
go on that on Skype, one thing I just would like to mention that they've just brought out on Skype with all this bother is now you can Skype somebody who doesn't have a Skype account and they don't need to set one up.
Oh.
Send a link. So you know how we've always had the bother where you have to subscribe, they have to follow you to get them to call you. But now you can send me a link. I can click on it, talk to you through Skype without having to have a Skype account.
Well, that's nice.
Whereas that's a really good thing. So, so I just thought I'd finish with that.
That's a good
before
one.
we will throw.
And then, yes, you can use Skype. Will Skype do green screening? I don't know.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, well, hope that helps you as you're trying to become a professional in this industry. Green screening is fun. It will give you a different look, and you can change your looks whenever you want to make it more in context with what you're doing. You would probably be surprised out there in the land how many people are outdoors that are not outdoors. It's pretty interesting. There's a lot of fake stuff on TV that just makes you think they're outdoors in a storm or whatever else, and there's nothing going on. They're indoors. So, and they're getting sprayed by somebody or water spilled on them. It's just sort of funny. But anyway, hope this helps you. And if you have any questions, just post them on the comments below, and we will answer them. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Harold. And we'll see you.
Bye
Have a
for
good
now.
Easter. If you're into Easter, have a
Happy
great
Easter.
Easter this weekend. Enjoy the bunnies and the eggs. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.